I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers fade as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Hello and welcome. We're exploring Lesson 253 from the course today. It's one that really gets you thinking about power and where we think it lies. We're glad you're joining us. As always, you can find us on social media at the World Harmony Project or email us at ACIM@theworldharmonyproject.org.
And this lesson, 253, it pops up in the What is Sin section of the course. Remember, in the course, sin isn't about being bad or wrong. It's simply the belief that we're separate. And this lesson tackles something almost everyone feels daily, that sense of powerlessness. The course's take on this, it's pretty startling, honestly.
It really is. Let's start by reading the lesson itself and then the prayer that follows.
Lesson 253, Myself is ruler of the universe. It is impossible that anything should come to me unbidden by myself. Even in this world, it is I who rule my destiny. What happens is what I desire. What does not occur is what I do not want to happen. This must I accept. For thus am I led past this world to my creations, children of my will, in heaven where my holy self abides with them and him who has created me. And here's the prayer. You are the self whom you created, son, creating like yourself and one with you. Myself, which rules the universe, is but your will in perfect union with my own, which can but offer glad assent to yours, that it may be extended to itself.
Okay, so that first line, myself is ruler of the universe.
Wow. That immediately clashes with, how we usually feel. Most days, don't we feel kind of pushed around by circumstances, by what other people do, our feelings, our bodies, the news?
Oh, absolutely. That's the standard human condition, isn't it? Feeling like we have very little actual control. I mean, some mornings just getting the coffee maker to work feels like a major victory. And then you read the course stating flat out, myself is ruler of the universe. It just stops you in your tracks.
It does. And it's totally understandable why students, especially early on, might push back against this. You look at your life and think, rule the universe. How can this be true? The course is really going right at that core feeling of being helpless. When it says, it is impossible that anything should come to me unbidden by myself, it's directly saying you are not a victim. Things aren't just randomly happening to you, not from the perspective of your true self.
And what happens is what I desire. That's not about wanting bad things, but it means you aren't being attacked by life. It implies there's a deeper level of choosing or allowing going on.
Yes, and it is I who rule my destiny just hammers it home. You are not some tiny, powerless thing lost in a big, scary universe. There's an inherent power and directionality that belongs to your true self.
Now, the immediate reaction, the ego's reaction, is often, wait a minute, did I desire to get that parking ticket or for my friend to be upset with me?
That's such a common misunderstanding, and it's quite misleading, isn't it?
Very. Because the lesson isn't talking about the ego's power at all. It's not about the small self, the personality that feels separate and vulnerable, trying to manipulate the world to get what it wants. That's not the I being discussed. And this misunderstanding can lead to some really painful questions. People ask, am I responsible for my house fire, for my child's illness?
The course is never about making you feel guilty for things that happen. It's not saying you consciously wished for suffering, yours or anyone else's.
Definitely not. It's not about a conscious, specific desire for negative events. That's just not what it means.
The course is pointing to something much, much deeper. It's about the mind's fundamental choice. The choice is this. Do I see myself as separate, isolated, and therefore vulnerable? Or do I recognize my inherent unity with everything, with love itself?
And that choice changes everything. If you choose separation, the world looks like a threatening place and you feel like a victim. It seems like things are constantly happening to you. But if you choose unity, the same events might occur, but your whole relationship to them shifts.
That's the key. Choosing unity doesn't mean challenges disappear. It means you stop experiencing yourself as the target of those challenges. The feeling of being a powerless victim dissolves, even if the situation itself is difficult.
And realizing you have this deeper choice isn't about blaming yourself for the past. It's about empowering your response right now.
Yeah.
You always get to choose how you perceive what's happening.
Then there's the flip side, the other misunderstanding. People hear, I rule the universe, and think, great, law of attraction time, I can manifest my dream car.
Yeah.
We've talked about this confusion before, I think. It's easy to mistake the course for some kind of manifestation technique.
Yes, like if I just think positive thoughts hard enough, I'll get that specific house or relationship or income I've been wanting.
But again, that's still the ego trying to grab the reins. It's using spiritual-sounding ideas to fulfill its own agenda, its own personal wish list. It's still based on that idea of a separate self wanting to control things out there.
Exactly. The I in the lesson, the one ruling the universe, isn't the personal you with the shopping list of desires. It's the self that is one with God's will, which is universal love. It's not about personal preferences.
So far from puffing up the ego, this lesson actually points toward its dissolution. It invites us into something much larger. Look at the prayer again. It talks about offering glad assent to God's will. That's not a grudging, okay, fine. It's a joyful alignment, a sense of relief, even.
Ah, that relief. That's a good word for it. It's like you stop fighting. You stop trying to impose your small will on everything. There's a release in that alignment.
And the prayer says God's will wants to be extended to itself. Love just naturally flows outward. It shares, it creates. It doesn't try to hoard or control. That inherent outward movement is part of its nature.
So the ego, the sense of separation, it created the idea of sin, of being flawed and guilty, to project its own fear outward. That projection makes the world look like a dangerous place that can hurt us, hence the feeling of victimhood.
And if you see yourself as this small, vulnerable thing that can be attacked, well, of course you feel powerless. You start asking, why me? What did I do wrong? You feel like you're at the mercy of forces beyond your control.
But if your real self, the self the lesson talks about, is actually the one in charge, then victimhood doesn't make sense anymore. There's no separate you for the universe to attack.
And understanding this fundamentally changes how you approach spiritual practice. It's less about trying to fix a broken you and more about remembering the whole powerful self you already are.
Undoing that feeling of powerlessness is so central to healing the belief in separation, because as long as you identify as a victim, you're constantly reinforcing the thought system of separation itself. Maybe we should look at what ego power actually looks like, since that's what most of us understand as power.
Good idea. Ego power is usually about win-lose, isn't it? It involves control, manipulation, trying to get your way, often at someone else's expense. Securing your desires.
Right. And society often encourages this, doesn't it? Get more money, more influence, be seen as better than others. It's presented as the way to feel less helpless, to gain some control.
But even when people achieve those things, wealth, status, influence, there's often still an underlying feeling of unease, of powerlessness, because you're still operating as this separate self trying to manage and control other separate selves in a world that feels inherently unpredictable.
And this ego mindset can creep into spiritual practice too.
Yeah.
You might use spiritual ideas to try and get what you want personally, or even to subtly manipulate others, like, I'll forgive them so they'll finally treat me better.
That's still ego power wearing a spiritual disguise. It's still serving the agenda of the separate self.
The lesson's teaching is radically different. It's not about bolstering the separate self. It's about realizing it was never real to begin with.
True power, according to the Course, comes from recognizing who you truly are, not from trying to make the illusory self stronger or safer.
So that pervasive feeling of powerlessness really stems from the illusion of separation, this me inside, separate from a world out there that can affect me.
And the lesson cuts right through that. It says separation is the illusion. At the deepest level, there's only one self making one choice.
And from that perspective, the line, what happens is, what I desire starts to make a different kind of sense. It's not my personal preference, but the desire or the will of the unified self, which is love's will.
But someone listening might still think, okay, intellectually I get it, but right now I have this real problem and I feel totally powerless. How does this help now?
That's a fair question. Maybe the shift is in the kind of question we ask. Instead of, how do I control this? How do I fix this? Perhaps we can ask, how is love trying to express itself here? Or what wants to happen through this situation that I'm resisting or not seeing? It's like instead of swimming against the current, you try to understand where the current is actually going.
Yeah. And let's be honest, the lived experience often lags behind the intellectual understanding. When you're really in the thick of it, feeling overwhelmed, repeating myself as ruler of the universe can feel abstract, maybe even a bit hollow sometimes.
Maybe the lesson isn't primarily meant as a technique to apply in the moment of crisis, but more as a fundamental reorientation. It's about remembering your true identity, the ground of your being.
Because if we could truly grasp, even for a moment, that our deepest self is unified with the very power that creates and sustains everything, then the feeling of powerlessness just couldn't coexist with that understanding. Victimhood would naturally fall away, even if the circumstances remain challenging for a time.
It makes me think of those moments of flow people talk about. When you're in flow, you're not consciously controlling every little detail, are you? Yet things happen effectively, effortlessly. There's no sense of struggle or powerlessness.
That's a great parallel. In flow, it feels like things are happening through you, rather than entirely by you. There's an alignment.
Yes, it's different from just being zoned out or absorbed.
Oh, definitely. I remember walking face first into a lamppost when I was about 8 because I was so absorbed in a book. That was absorption, not flow. Very different feeling.
Good distinction. But even in deep absorption, that sense of a separate, controlling self can temporarily fade, which hints at that deeper unity.
True flow feels more like being carried by the current, aligned with what's meant to be. And there's immense power in that, but it's not ego power.
So myself as ruler of the universe isn't about making the ego feel big and important. It's about realizing the ego is small and illusory, and that our true self is, well, universal, vast.
Exactly. Real power comes from knowing that true self, not from trying to control things as the separate self.
What about the part of the lesson that mentions my creations, children of my will in heaven? How does that relate to power?
I think that points to our true function. When we shift from reacting to the world's problems, feeling powerless, to recognizing our true self, we step into our role as creators. Not creators of problems, but extenders of love. The children are these extensions, these ideas of love and unity, born from our alignment with God's will. That's our heavenly function.
And you can't really access or experience that creative function if all your energy is focused on trying to fix or manage the effects you see in the world, right?
Right. The world, the ego's world, constantly tries to pull your attention to the problems, to the perceived lack, to the feeling of separation and powerlessness.
So the lesson is a profound invitation. It's saying, stop trying to rearrange the images on the movie screen. Remember, you're the light projecting the whole show.
That's a shift that leads us past this world, past the ego's perception to our true home and function.
It explains the absolute confidence in statements like, it is impossible that anything should come to me unbidden. Because from the level of the one self, unified with the one will, everything that happens is, in some deep way, chosen or allowed. It's part of the script.
Even if our limited human perspective can't possibly grasp how or why in the moment, the truth holds.
So the goal isn't to become a master manipulator of our personal lives. It's to remember the real power we possess.
Which is that fundamental choice. Choice for fear or for love, for separation or for unity.
And making that choice for love, for unity, is ultimately what transforms everything. It frees us from being victims, even if the movie seems to play out in similar ways for a while. We know who's really running the projector. And dismantling that deep-seated feeling of powerlessness is absolutely essential if we want to heal the belief in separation. Holding on to victimhood just keeps the whole illusion going.
This lesson definitely gives us a lot to contemplate. We hope exploring it together has been helpful for you. And if it feels like a big stretch or confusing, that's okay. The Course knows these ideas challenge our usual way of thinking. Thank you for joining us in this exploration.
Yes, thank you. And until we explore the next lesson, perhaps hold this thought. Your power is the choice between fear and love.